Welcome to our H0 podcast. Today we are with Max Riese. He is an unsupported ultra endurance cyclist and also world record holder. Hello, Max. Hi. Max, you're from Salzburg in Austria, right?
Yes, a bit south is beaten, so it feels like a village, but still you cycle 5 to 15 minutes into the city.
Ultra endurance cyclist. What does that mean? What's an ultra distance?
Yeah, that's always the question. I think with gravel races getting longer and longer in distance, and now you have like a Tracker 360, but it takes like 12 or 10 hours. I think it were 10 hours for the winners to complete, so that's not ultra anymore. In my definition, I think you're spending at least one night outside.
And there are several races that go over even 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Like, there's different races. Some of the harder and, for me, more interesting ones, they go longer and longer. Like Silk Road Mountain Race in Kyrgyzstan, it's usually around 7, 8 days for the winners. A Tour Divide will be, well, now pushed down to 12 days by Robin, the Swiss guy. But it's also fun sometimes to do something like in Further Elements in Scotland, where it's basically 500 kilometers you ride for one night and that's it.
Okay. But then there's maybe the conditions because it's rainy or muddy or anything. Right?
It's called Elements for a reason. So it's
Yeah.
in November in Scotland with snow, ice, mud.
Okay. Sounds like great fun.
Crazy race as well.
No, we do normally 10 warm-up questions. So I'm going to start with these, and you have to choose one. Gravel or mountain bike?
Let's say gravel.
Okay. RockShox or Fox?
RockShox.
Mm-hmm. Banana or gel?
Gel.
Cross country or downhill?
Cross country.
Rampage or hardline?
Rampage is too iconic.
Okay. Pizza or schnitzel?
Pizza. Big fan of pizza.
Yeah, in Salzburg is there something? Salzburger Nockern maybe, but that's not that's not an equivalent to schnitzel, right?
We have good pizza as well.
Okay. Seventh question. Hot or cold?
I should say cold, because usually my race performance is way better when it's like terrible conditions, but I really like warm and hot temperatures.
Very good. Eighth question. Olympics or World Championships?
I mean, I think for the discipline that I continue like perform in, it has to be World Championships, I guess. Not sure if it will ever get Olympic.
Ninth question. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Mm-hmm. And last question. Mountains or beach?
I'm a big mountain guy.
Big mountain, right? Yeah. So no umbrella sitting and reading for you.
No, it's nice. Like, I have been surfing in Australia and I quite liked it because I'm also like doing spitboarding, snowboarding. So the ocean has something magical and like really mystic to it as well. And there's a lot of fun sports that you can do with it, but I wouldn't be the guy to like be on the beach. And then I'm by far not good enough to become like a water sports athlete. And yeah, like I really love mountains with every pore of my heart. Like I try to get out every day.
Nice, cool. Yeah, we Austrians basically like what do you say? Like who's surfing? Wave surfing is not really the best sport for us. I started when I was like 20 or something. I decided now I'm gonna become a surfer. It was harder than I expected, actually. So without moving, you can't really achieve that. So mountains, great. So I prepared some questions. You already told us a little bit what are ultra marathons, right? why do you participate in ultramarathons? Do you feel like this is your passion, or is this something where you're especially good and you maybe don't even like it that much, or is it something where you see like you have great potential? So let us know a little bit more.
I think without real passion and commitment to this sport, it will there's a lot of suffering and like not great moments to go through. So this will not happen if you just do it for there's no prize money. So why? There's not really much to gain. Like if you want to get famous or something, you would probably go to something like gravel, like in the Gravel Earth Lifetime Grand Prix, or maybe even UCI direction. There's way more attention on that sport right now. While it's building, I have to say it's crazy development in bikepacking and ultra distance as well. But like you will spend so much time and you will go through so much problems. You need to solve problems constantly, and that's what I really like, to be like self-sufficient, to like make quick decisions, and also it takes you to places that you would usually never see. So the first race that I've actually done was the Silk Road Mountain Race, and it was probably a stupid decision to go with the hardest one. I just saw the imagery of Kyrgyzstan, this nomadic country with a vast landscape, completely uninhabited, mountains over 4,000 meters high, and severe weather. Everything was in there, and it was basically challenging me from like the cycling part. Like it's going to be like a really really hard ride. It's challenging me from like solving all of those problems along the way, and like being completely on your own for like at the time 10 days plus. uh I can't even speak the language. And then there's mountaineering challenges as well, because you will need to hike your bike, you need to ride technical trails. There might be snow or other terrible conditions that are more like a mountaineering challenge than actually cycling. And it fascinated me in a way that I wanted to do it. And when I had my first one done, from there on, it was just like, okay, what is the next one? Which event and race do I want to do next? What could be like a route that I want to do that challenges me? And yeah,
Yeah, I totally understand your passion for this because there's so many components, right? You have the weather and you have the food and you have the technical part of the bicycle that you have to maintain and you have to be prepared before even that you arrive, right? And there's so many like tiny little bits that have to basically go together that you actually can do a result and then arrive at the finish line.
yeah, it's one of the very few formats where you can't even be sure that you will finish at all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. I think I read an interview from the last Atlas mountain race, and they said like if 50% of the people don't scratch, we didn't really do our jobs well. So they they really designed these races that people give up and say like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah, Nelson is a special character. He's the race organizer of the mountain races. He does very hard races, but not for the sake of it being hard. But he takes you to like really exceptional places, and the way that he designs the routes, you will have so many fond memories of saying like, "Oh wow, like this was absolutely insane. Like how does this place even exist?" And sometimes you might need to hike to that place or something, and then it's obviously in a very remote mountainous landscape. So there's so many factors that people will drop out, not necessarily because they're not hard enough or something. Things happen.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because I
Yeah.
mean, that your derailleur breaks, or that you have some kind of technical issue that you can't do, or you get ill, or there's so many different
Yeah.
components. So, which race left the biggest impact? Because you
Uh,
participate. I have to go through the list really quick, okay? So you did the Hellenic. race, the Silk Road, the Atlas Mountain Race. You did the further elements. Then there was another further race that I've never heard before, but you participated in a lot of them. Then you got fourth place in the Tour Divide. Um, a lot of different long distance races in the last years, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's always people that come up with amazing ideas for routes,
Hmm.
events, races, and there's always something new that like triggers me in a way. But I have to say, like the Silk Road is still the one that is closest to my heart, where I always want to return. I will return again this year, and it's just something that you can't really describe. It is exceptionally hard. It is exceptionally remote and like challenging in so many ways that it kind of like makes a huge difference. And then with the people combined, like Kyrgyzstan is, as I said before, like a nomadic country. So people are very warm. They understand what you're going through because they live in a fucking tent out in the mountains. So if you walk through a snowstorm, there will be someone coming like, no, no, you come to my tent and you drink tea with me. And it's a beautiful experience. They have nothing like compared to our lifestyle. There's no luxury at all, and they're like very warm as a culture with you, very welcoming.
Is this something that you also, I mean, during the race, it's probably hard also to think about this kind of kindness that you sometimes feel. And is this something that you take in your private life then with you when you come back and that you basically keep as a gift for yourself? Because I
Well,
mean, it's very special, right? I've never experienced these kind of things. I've been traveling a lot in my life, but I've never had someone from Kyrgyzstan inviting me into his tent, right?
it puts your life into perspective.
Hmm.
If you see kids that look at your camera that has like a fancy little display in the back, and they're like completely mind blown, you can take a picture and look at it instantly. They don't understand how it works, right? But it's not in a way that they would have envy. They want to steal it or something from you. There's a certain curiosity, and this simple life kind of like makes people more welcoming and more open. And we like to complain a lot, I think, about like things that could be better and stuff. But then if you have an experience like this, it's easier to say like, okay, yes, we should do things better in our society as well, but it can be really nice to have this perspective of actually having nothing. And bikepacking in itself, you're like very vulnerable and you have nothing. You have no protection around you. You just carry a few things. You don't have any luxury for like days on end. And it will definitely, as soon as you get home and you realize like, oh, like I can just open the tap and have hot or cold water on demand. That's not a given. That's something special.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point of view on that. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't think about it, but if you're in a country like Morocco and they don't have a lot of water, it's not a given that you can just, you know, check into a hotel and say like, "Oh, I want a warm shower now." In the countryside, a guest house will not have a shower. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
something.
Yeah, this is something that makes you think, right? Basically coming home then afterwards and you can shower a half an hour if you want to. And you have the river next to the house or something. It's true. It's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So talking about the Atlas Mountain Race, you did it this year, right? This was already, when was it was it in January or
February.
in February?
Yeah,
February, right?
beginning of
And
February. Second time. It was nice to be back.
yeah, yeah. It was really rainy in the beginning, right?
Yeah, the beginning was a bit crazy. It rained for like 4.5 hours in the first two climbs. And I think like 200 meters from the top in elevation, suddenly the temperature shifted and became ice. So you were just cycling against 60 kilometers per hour winds and like got ice in your face, and the road was not frozen over like black ice. It was more like little golf balls.
Okay. Okay.
It was a very, very wild experience for Morocco. Um, yeah, I think computers showed like minus 10 Celsius or something. It was pretty crazy. And then the next days we had crazy strong headwinds, sometimes like bursts over 100 kilometers per hour. And then it got hot. So we got everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how long did it take to you? Was it 4 days?
Yeah, a bit over 4 days, four and
Yeah,
a half days approximately,
yeah.
which was slower than I wanted. But yeah, sometimes,
Yeah, it is
it's,
what it is, right? In these races,
uh,
there's no wishing. Yeah, especially as far as I remember, they also had to deviate the beginning, right? And basically,
yeah.
yeah, lead a part of the mountain roads and basically bring you over the normal roads because the conditions were so muddy and hard and everything. So it was all over the place, a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, Morocco was in a drought for 7 years. And this
And
winter was
here,
the first winter in
yeah,
7 years that they actually got good precipitation. So yeah, like the people there now have water. Their like reservoirs are filled for like another year just from those rainfalls, which is amazing for the country. But for Nelson on the organizing side, it was pretty challenging as there was snow. Uh, Basically, from like a bit over 1,000 meters, you couldn't use any off-road paths, and a lot of roads were even closed because they don't have winter service like we have here. It's not like it takes like an hour or two and there will be like a truck that just completely plows the whole road. Um, yeah, so it was challenging. Yeah, it was more tarmac at the beginning than we would have liked, I think. On a full suspension mountain bike, riding 250 kilometers of tarmac roads is
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
But yeah, afterwards we had the classic Moroccan experience of like really corrugated roads, some trails, and desert, sand, everything. It was nice to be back in that terrain.
Do you always use the same bike for, let's say, like the Tour Divide, Atlas Mountain Race, and the Silk Road, or depending what you race, you choose your weapon choice?
Basically, look at every race and its demands, and then decide what will be the best choice for me. Um, so Atlas Mountain Race, it's not very technical, so I don't need the full suspension for being able to go down trails or something. I mean, some trails will be very technical, and it surely helps to have a full suspension, but it's more like working against the fatigue, so your muscles don't completely give up after a few days and you get saddle sores or anything worse. But for example, in Greece, in Hellenic mountain race, it is so much climbing and you will never have any flat ground. It will be technical still. So the full suspension is like a kilo, maybe two more on the bike just through the suspension. So I would choose a hardtail, make it as light as possible. And then if we look at further perseverance, the one in the Pyrenees, for example, there's like really crazy and long hike bikes in there.
Okay.
And in between, you will ride some tarmac roads. So from the technical trails perspective, it would definitely make sense to use a full suspension or hardtail. But in general, I decided to go with a gravel bike because it's light. I can carry it on my shoulders. I can run if I want, and I can make up a lot of time on the tarmac sections in between the sectors just by riding like really aero and fast on the gravel bike.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, right? In terms of
Yeah.
like the riding position that you can put your elbows in and all of these kind of things. But you also have aero bars on the mountain bikes, right?
Well,
Still.
I mean, this year's Atlas setup went quite viral, I would say.
Mhm. Mhm.
I used a full suspension Cervelo ZFS5 bike, and I put drop bars on it and aero bars. But I think the biggest change that I did was I used a small TNT uh, titanium CNC machined part to get further up front with the saddle. So I'm pedaling in front of the bottom bracket, and I basically had like a TT position on a mountain bike.
And this is something that you basically designed yourself, or someone did it for you, or you
No,
just had it CNC'd?
there's a Swiss company called Fair Bicycle, and they produce this thing, and they produced one for me. And yeah, like I tried it because I wanted to know like how does it feel from the position, and it just made me like way faster. So yeah, like I always like to tinker a lot with the bikes. Then I also talk with engineers like, hey, I did this to the bike, and actually the bike now performs in that this or that way, and I think you should consider this geometry change or something. And it's yeah, I really like those things, like always trying to make something different, always trying to iterate, so I get a bit better and a bit faster, maybe getting more comfort through some things as well. And yeah, it's the others are also doing their homework, so I need to
Yeah,
make
right.
sure I'm fast.
And it's a very personal thing also, what you like and what you prefer and what your body basically tells you,
Sure.
right? In
Yeah.
that case. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's the point. Sometimes you get a private message from someone saying like, "Hey, I saw you did photo on a gravel bike, so
Mhm.
it's doable on a gravel bike."
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
would absolutely not recommend doing that on a gravel bike. It's terrifying, but it's my choice. I would never recommend you to do it.
The, when you use your gravel bike in these kind of conditions, what type of tires are you using? Mountain bike tires then? And is your gravel bike capable of the frame width to actually use mountain bike tires? Because it makes such a big difference, right? And there's so many trends going on, basically,
Yeah,
that the gravel bikes themselves, they split up into like 8 different categories. You have this kind of enduring side, which is actually a road bike, but can take a little bit bigger tires. And then you have the other side, maybe a steel frame with like super wide tires, and this is still categorized as a gravel bike, right? But it's more like
yeah.
a mountain bike with a drop bar. Yeah.
Like the bikes that I use are usually like aero race gravel bikes,
Okay.
and then they have some tweaks for my position, so I can get into a position that I really like. I also, for example, like people make fun of me for not cutting the fork, but I like to change the stack according to what terrain I will ride. Because, if I completely make it slack and cut it and I cannot go higher again, but then I want to ride trails, it will be like less, I will feel less secure in that
Get it.
position and
Yeah.
overstretched.
Yeah.
So what I usually ride is, so the bike takes it could potentially take a bit wider tires, but I'm riding like a 45 in the back and the 40 in the front. Um, the back will be like a semi slick, and the front will have a bit more profile. So the idea is basically I can go over pretty much anything with power, but the front, I don't want to lose my front wheel. If the back slips a bit, it's fine. You can just work it out through like, okay, now it's slipping. I'm shifting my body position or something. If the front goes, you're done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So that's like the compromise that I'm doing. Like a narrower tire in the front with a bit more profile, and the back needs to roll as fast as possible and have a lot of volume. So I'm getting a bit of cushioning.
Yeah. Right. This is the thing. It needs some
Yeah.
kind of air suspension. And I mean, for the all of these ultra distance races, you use inserts and tubeless and everything, or is this something like you still decide sometimes based on the surface, right?
So
Yeah.
tubeless is a given. I could never
All right.
imagine riding without tubeless.
Yeah.
Last year, I wrote an adaptable tire pressure hub from Grava. It's also an interesting technology, but they're unfortunately bankrupt. Um, Tire inserts, yeah, like if you have really, really crazy terrain that might produce fatal like impacts on your tire because you don't want to break your rim, right?
This is the thing,
So it
right? Yeah.
might save your race if you use them in like a really, really technical terrain. But then, like if it's yeah, I mean, a Tour Divide is like really wide open gravel roads, and you will basically use the mountain bike to have more volume and a bit more relaxed position. But I don't know. I probably wouldn't use a tire liner in there. I would go for maximum optimization in terms of rolling resistance and weight to like be efficient over such a long time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense actually. What's the plan for 2026? Which races will you attend?
Yeah, so the mountain race series gets a fourth edition this year, the
Okay.
Taurus mountain race in Turkey,
Yeah.
and it will be the organizer told me that he will not do more than four. Enough stress for him in 1 year. So it is the chance and challenge to like do all four in 1 year. Um, so I've already done the Atlas now. Next up will be Hellenic, where I would hope to get another podium. Then Silk Road Mountain Race in August and October. Yeah, October is Taurus Mountain Race. There might be some smaller things in between. I'm trying to decide which smaller one-day gravel races I will fit in somewhere and stuff. But yeah, like the main challenge and the main goal is really like the four mountain races this year.
How do you, in terms of like sponsoring and all of these kind of things? Because I mean, the traveling, the
Yeah,
preparation, and everything. How do you handle these kind of things? Is it that you also have to pay for it, or do your sponsoring contracts cover basically the traveling and because this
yeah,
is a huge part of it, right?
yeah. I mean, most of the sponsorings that you get will be product.
Hmm.
So it really helps you if you if you have a really really expensive bikes, then the spare parts for this bike will also cost a lot of money. So it is a real advantage saying like, okay, like I can get a chain or brake pads because that cost will add up, and that will be the majority. And then some sponsorships, we talk about like them covering the travel to one race, or I produce something around the race, like a blog article in like a picture series or something, and then they will pay basically for the outcome of this. And some others help realizing some projects. So with the world record ride, for example, the company that produces the 3D printed saddles that I ride, they send a video team, and it was like that's not money, but it's a massive contribution, right? So it's really different, and you can't, in my experience at least, you can't just go to a brand and say like, "Hey, here's my free packages. Choose one." It's not gonna work. Like every brand has some specific needs, and with the Savello partnership that I have, it's not only about me like posting on social media or like delivering results at races. It's also like talking about like what will be the next generation of bikes, delivering R&D and feedback to engineering. It depends. Like I really like the engineering part. That's my personal thing where I really like to invest a lot of time and effort in. Also, a lot of times I have like ideas for crazy projects or stuff, and sometimes you just come at the right time because someone says like, oh, we need a story like this, and then you can get money for it. And other times they'll be like, yeah, it's nice, but not this time.
So there's no real recipe for I'm becoming an ultra
No.
marathon. Basically, I just go from 1 to 10, and then I'm fine. So it's an organic thing that you have to adapt yourself a little bit. But it helps, right, that the coverage of or let's say the media coverage, and there's the Atlas
Yeah.
Mountain or the Mountain Series podcast, for example, where the people can get a little bit of an understanding of the, I would even call it torture that you go through these days, and that they can participate a little bit because during the race you can follow the races on Instagram, right? There is some kind of media coverage, and they actually do a great job of showing the photos, and they always have very good
Yeah.
photographers, and then there's
Yeah.
always a video and everything. But essentially, it's a dot on a map, right? That you
Yeah.
follow. And you cheer because when I started following you at the Atlas Mountain Race, I thought like, yeah, he's like he's the
Yeah.
top 10 and then he's top 5, but it's still a dot, right? And even
Yeah.
there are some people during the races who actually post pictures, but it's normally not the top 3 or top 5 or something because they're busy doing
Yeah.
something different, right? So it's not even an option, right, to bring a GoPro really with you and film everything, because then you need to, how do you even charge this thing, and where do you put it and all of that? I mean, I know for a fact there are some riders who do that, but
Mhm.
normally it's not top
Normally
10.
more mid pack. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like I started using this little analog film camera. So there's no pressure. I have 72 pictures. It's under 100 grams for me to carry this thing, and I just point it somewhere. And then afterwards, I have something that's more than just because, like phone pictures you will not create a real value out of a phone picture. But if you put a bit of strategy behind, like which moments am I capturing, what do I want to give insights to for people, and it has like a bit of a special format. It has like a bit of this okay, like I have something that I can hand out as a picture, a real picture. I'm trying this for the moment, and it's nice. It's fun. But yeah, like in general, it's not the sport. I mean, it will never happen. I hope that we have like camera motorbikes following us or stuff like this. So yeah, it's not the sport that will create so much attention and buzz that a lot of people will be able to live from that. If you look at Lifetime Grand Prix, for example, there's like a really, really rich family behind it, and there's money for positions in races and stuff that will not happen in ultra. So it's not a proper job, you know. And it will be very hard to make this a proper job. Some people manage to do that. Uh, it will get more with more attention from brands and stuff. But I think in the end, you might be able to make a living within the industry where your hobby lies in, but not because you try hard. It's because you do stuff and you live for that. And with time, you will get the chance to do something here, do something there, work with brand A or B, and things unfold from there. It's there's no script, and there's no yeah, I mean, no brand will voluntarily put like an email out like, write this person for sponsorships. That's not going to happen. You will basically ride your bike forever and invest a lot of money, and after time you realize like, oh, like that person is working in the industry, and if you get along, maybe that person will say like, oh, we can give you a helmet. And you will be super happy about this. that's how those things go.
But talking about the industry and everything, you're the founder of GraphGraph, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah. So during the COVID pandemic, I was looking for ways to like work in the bike industry somehow, and like yeah, come up with my own idea and my own project and business. And at the time, like obviously during the pandemic, a lot of people went out and wanted to ride their bikes. Gravel was like the thing, like gravel bikes were sold out in most shops, and yeah, everyone was outside basically. But the weird thing was, especially for me, like the border to Germany is 7 kilometers maybe. And you will obviously cross it like multiple days a week without even thinking about it. Like if you go through the forest, there will not even be a sign. And suddenly we couldn't do that. Like, borders were closed, and it was like a massive, yeah, like it impacted our lives here significantly. There was one village where like the workers were on the Austrian side, and I think like the recycling facilities were on the other, so they didn't have any garbage collection for the
Okay.
pandemic, which is just like, oh god. Um, and yeah, so we made a project where we met at the closed border to Italy with a friend, Bruno Ferraro. It was called Reunion. That went super well. Like people loved the story behind it of us just riding to the border and like couldn't cross it, but had a beer there with an analogy to like the First World War, where the two countries fought against each other and stuff. And
Did Bruno come from Italy and you came
yeah,
from Austria,
exactly.
and then you
Yeah.
met on the okay, okay, and this was in Tarvisio.
It was on Forcelladines. It's between East Tyrol and Veneto. It was the only road, like off-road military road that connects. So he couldn't go outside of Veneto, and I could move within Austria, but not anywhere else. So yeah, like that was the only point where we could meet, and it was like a really, really beautiful location. And we just planned our path there, and it was a cool story. So we had two videos where we basically moved towards each other, and you had snippets from the other person in each other's video, but you followed the journey in one video, and then you could watch the other one. And
Nice.
we ended up in the same place. It was a nice project. And then I felt like, okay, like people are obviously interested in those stories, and obviously there was sort of this moment where people realized like, oh wow, like this is not good. Like we need those open borders, and it's an achievement that we have in society. But why are we not more proud of Europe? Like, why is there no? There's bikepacking.com, which is basically American, but then tries to be global. There's some national things like Gravel Club in Germany and stuff, but no one actively says like we're European and we're proud Europeans and we're like trying to like promote cycling for the whole continent, because what we have here is absolutely unique. You can have that nowhere else in the world. You can cross the borders. You have the same currency, same phone network, so many different cultures and languages. You can have glaciers, you can have desert, you can have everything in between. And yeah, like if you want, even as a hobby cyclist, without like having like a crazy training regime, you can go for like 3 countries or more in one day. It's insane. It's amazing. So like I thought, okay, like that would be a goal, trying to build up a network of cycling routes and a community that's like European first, and then we can, yeah, try to have an impact on this, because if we become large enough as a community, then we can talk to tourism. because tourism cannot, like, winter tourism in Austria is a model that will have to change dramatically within the next 10 years, not 20, 30 years. It's not going to happen that much longer that you can just go skiing like 20 kilometers from here. It's not going to happen. So they need to react. They need to do something different. Summer tourism is becoming more important. And if we have a large community, we can say like, hey, like this is actually what the people want and need. And then obviously we can also have more impact through having large European projects. Yeah, like we did a route actually over the last 3 years, which talks about water circulation in the area here, and it crosses the border between Germany and Austria. So we were able to get like regional funding to get this route done, and had like three scientists involved and stuff. And it's nice to see like, okay, like now we're growing as an organization, and we can do projects like this on a larger impact scale.
It's a very interesting point that you're saying, because I figured also, like, for example, take backpacking.com, right? They have all these kind of product reviews on their website. And when I started, also during COVID, basically going more into like long distance cycling, and also like considering this as backpacking by itself, I wanted to find these products then in Europe, and they were not available because they test American products first, right? Which makes totally sense for them. But on a long term, what I found out is that it's really hard if you don't speak, for example, like French or Italian or Slovenian or whatever other language, to find the right products, because there is not one European backpacking community. There's not one European project, as you're saying it. And this really made me wonder, I don't know why. And I think in especially in 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 the next generation now, the language barrier will not exist that much anymore, right? I live in Italy. I see basically the young kids that they finally start to speak English, and that they finally start to communicate, and they also travel way more. So they find out about the same things that you found out, right? That actually traveling is great. In Europe, you can go from Sweden to the last part of Sicily and go through every climate zone that you ever wish for. And it's actually not really necessary to go to Alaska skiing or something. Yes, it has a good, there's a point to do it, but in Europe we can do the same things, right? And I wondered about the exact same things. Happy that you found this, that you did basically found this thing, and that you did something for it and
Yeah.
found it Graph, because it is exactly what I was hoping for when I started cycling.
Yeah, it's not easy all the time, obviously. But yeah, I mean, it's now like a bit over 5 years and still going, so that's nice. We just created a nonprofit along the side, so people can actually become a member and like shape the future of it democratically. Because for now, I was basically a paper marketing agency, which is, yeah, it works. You can write an invoice to a tourism board or whatever and do a project, but yeah, it's not completely aligned with the vision and yeah, like what is expected of you if you want to do something that's like more to the general society and a higher goal, so to say. So now the combination, I hope that that really opens up like more people coming in, participating into it, and yeah, it's a journey. Like, I don't know where it will lead. If I will do that for the rest of my life or something, but I'm still like very motivated to push it forwards and see what interesting people I meet through this, what countries and places I can see because of the work on this. And yeah, it's a cool project to be calling my job.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting, actually. I mean, I just figured out this kind of cycling craziness in Belgium, for example, where there's this one YouTuber, Average Rob, and then he did
Yeah.
the turbo cross. I don't know if you heard about that, but
Yeah.
see how many spectators there are and what type of race they organize. It's incredible, and this all happens in Europe, right?
Yeah,
And it's the same thing with the Strade Bianche here in
yeah,
Italy. Um, there's so many people coming to the Tuscany area, and when you have the chance to ride this Strade Bianche, it's just an amazing country. It's so beautiful, and the area is just, the weather is great, the food is good, the people are nice.
yeah,
There's nothing really wrong with that, right? I can totally understand that connecting this is such a great, good goal to do so. I don't know too much about the German races and then all of these kind of things, but my goal is also to go to one of these red races just to see it once. I don't know if you ever heard this, but they do this kind of like go-kart race course races and these kind of things. But there's so many things that you can do in Europe, and actually, it's not that far away, right?
no, no, yeah,
No,
totally.
yeah.
Yeah. No, and there's different approaches to it. Like Rap Race are more like on the it needs to have a big audience thing, and there's always like a marketing twist to it, so to say. There's some really hardcore community events. Mittelgebirgs Classic, the logo and everything looks terrible, but it's booked out every year because they do a good route. It's a good organized event, and people return and return to it again. So yeah, and then I mean, like if you look at cyclocross and stuff in Belgium, it's just crazy. I'm like always telling my girlfriend, like next winter season we're gonna have like a long weekend in Belgium and just look different cyclocross races in Belgium and have a party for like one weekend.
I think you can totally do that. I think you can get, basically, you arrive on Monday, get drunk, and
Yeah,
until Sunday you can finally
probably.
fade out. Yeah, there, because it just looks really, really, really funny and awesome. So,
Yeah,
and that sounds like a very good goal actually for the winter.
yeah. I should do that.
Okay, great. Thanks you. Thanks so much. Thanks for the interview.
You're welcome.
I wish you all the best for the next races. I'm gonna follow your dot again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Uh,
gonna be a wild season, long season.
yeah, right. Yeah. So you have three more races, right?
Yeah, I mean, three main races, and then let's see how many gravel and other races I will put in between.
Exciting.
Might be some surprises, but still working on budgets.
Good, good luck. Good luck for everything.